begin. All right, gang. What's up? Austin Malleolo here on The Soapbox. It's a podcast that I've wanted to start for a little while and just figuring this stuff out. So this will be the inaugural podcast. Give you guys some background on what it is, and we'll dive into it. But hopefully you guys have an idea of what the podcast is going to be once you're done with this episode. So the first episode, the purpose of this was, quite frankly and quite honestly, I didn't want to start a podcast because everyone was doing it, and I just didn't want to. I didn't feel like I don't want to add to the noise. I want to add value, and time and time again, people are like, "You got to start a podcast. You got to start a podcast." My lifestyle is pretty crazy. I'm pretty busy. I travel all around. So, I just didn't know. I didn't want to not have it be consistent. I didn't want to have it like, guests only, whatever it might be. So the purpose and direction of this podcast, as the title is The Soapbox, it's to get on a topic and stay on the topic. And there will be tangents, but it's going to be probably polarizing. I'm sure emotionally charged, sometimes irrational, but everything from the world that I find passionate about, whether it is coaching, training, relationships, parenting, finance, running a business, running corporate wellness, you name it. At current events, whether it's, managing my gyms, running Mod on the Waves, working with the hand plan, in my house, whatever it might be, so I would assume that the audience will either love it or hate it. So I'm going to put this up on all the channels for podcasts so you can listen to it on the road. I'm also going to post it up onto the YouTube channel, just depending on which platform, and also to leverage that as well. So, that's going to be my goal. Right now I'm in my basement. I'm going to be turning the garage into a studio as well for filming and all sorts of stuff like that for the hand plan, for the gyms. And then also we'll be able to do the podcast in there. So it'll be a little sexier of a backdrop than the basement. So that's the purpose behind it. Frequency. Gosh, I'm not really sure. I would like to get an episode out a week. I never want to overcommit and underdeliver, but I think that's possible. I got a cool little setup here. I can travel with this stuff. And I'd also like to stay relatively current. What I don't want to do is get a whole bunch of episodes and then and backlog it. So I'd like to be current, and really the purpose of this is if inspiration strikes, I want to be able to speak to it. Another thing I've struggled with for a long time is I feel like I don't necessarily add value to the community sometimes. And what I mean by that is I feel like a lot of the things I say, a lot of the things I do, I'm like, man, that's common sense. Everybody knows this. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. Because I never want to talk down to people. I never want to make oh gosh, everyone needs to hear this. I feel like a lot of people out there just say things, and I'm like, well, no shit. But that's not the case. So if this podcast, if my YouTube channel, if my streams help one person, I guess, I have to remember that's better than nothing. And I have to remember that, I do have experiences and continually have unique experiences that I do want to share. I truly love to help people. I enjoy sharing. That's why I decided to do this. That's why I have a YouTube channel. I enjoy the process. I feel like I can help affiliate owners, coaches, trainers, athletes, business people. And I'm not doing this from the sense I think I'm the best. I believe that I talk about it because I am about it. I don't like people that talk about things that aren't in that field. You have to walk the walk and talk the talk. So I do ask you to, challenge me and, question me. And I'm sure I'm going to make mistakes. I'm sure I'm going to say things that might be outside of my lane. But, and maybe that'll be an episode outside my lane once in a while, and talk about things that I really have no business talking about. But of course, it's fun to dive down that stuff. I'm assuming I'm going to get better as it goes. I'm assuming that you're probably not going to enjoy the beginning because I'm going to ramble. I got to figure it out. I'm going to listen back. Give me some feedback, guys. That's what I love about the community out there. So still figuring out. I got a mic. I got the camera. We'll make it work. But again, always want to dive into that. So with that said, I'd like to make sure, one, that the episodes, they're not super long, but they're also not going to be super short. So we'll try to keep it probably 20 minutes or so would be a goal. I'm sure we'll push longer once in a while depending on the topics and we're going to dive into. So guests, people you're going to see a good amount of, obviously my business partners, my best friends, from Connor Murphy to Spencer Hendel, James Hobart. We have all sorts of people. I'm sure we'll get the boss lady on here a few times. So we'll be able to do that, which will be fun. And then obviously throughout the travel and all that other stuff, we'll get some fun people on here. So that's going to be a goal of mine. An inspiration I'd like to take from is, when CrossFit had their podcast, they did a beautiful job. My production value won't be anywhere near that, but I'd love to be able to bring some sort of value like that and mass wide array of topics. So Full Send was also a name in the player for this. So I had Full Send or the soapbox. I think the soapbox is something that we all recognize, that I tend to get on the soapbox and don't get off it. So I thought it was fitting. It's also, my buddy was like, hey, you should call it Full Send, because that's all you do is you go full send on anything, whether it's coaching a class or whatever it might be. As an athlete in one of my classes. So I'm sure that we'll be diving in, full sending whatever we're diving into. So but the soapbox with Austin Malleolo, that's the podcast. That's what we're going to dive into. So let's talk about our first soapbox. And I think that if I were to talk about current events right now we're a week after the CrossFit Games. We'll talk about me personally. I don't want to talk about games reflections yet. I don't feel like I have a foot to stand on there. I wasn't there. It's the first time in 10 years I hadn't been at the CrossFit Games. I was actually on an inspection cruise for Watt on the Waves 2020, which is going to be awesome. I'm really fired up for that. So I was actually over in Europe along the Adriatic Sea in the Adriatic region where the ship was. So we went on a long cruise, really prepping for Watt on the Waves 2020, which is going to be in the Bahamas, but the ship's over there right now, doing some of their lines over there. But I knew I wasn't going to compete this year. As time got closer and closer, I wasn't sure about what my role at the games were going to be, so I made the decision to commit to the inspection cruise. I had to turn down a few opportunities to be at the games, and it was hard for me to do that, but I had made a commitment. And then in retrospect, it was really, really challenging because I really wanted to be there, and it was hard to see it from afar. So the biggest learning that I took from it is, one, I think a different perspective is powerful. And I do think a different perspective is important to gain understanding and awareness, where, like, what do you want to do in life, whatever it might be. And, I've been there every single year. It was almost like a foregone conclusion. I mean, people still think, oh, how's the games? How's the games? I wasn't there. That's hard to swallow sometimes, but it is what it is. But it made me realize that I want to be at the games next year. I will be at the games next year in some way, shape, or form. Someone asked me, am I going to compete? It's never off the table, but I'm not sure. Do I have what it takes to be individual? Do I have what it takes? Answer is yes. Do I have the ability to do what it takes? I'm not sure, because of my commitments, because of things that I want to do outside of competing. I know the commitment level it takes to qualify as an individual, and I think in this setup I might have an opportunity to do that. I think in the same vein as a team, could I be on a team? Of course. I believe I could add value to a team. I think I could absolutely help a team win. I have a few nagging injuries which I would need to clean up in order to train really hard. A lot of people ask me about my wrists. I got really bad bone spurs in my wrists, which really make it hard for me to snatch an overhead squat, and some handstand walking hurts. Someone asked me on my Instagram channel the other day, you ever get that thing fixed, big dog? And the doctors have said I can't really fix it. They don't think surgery, because of where it is smart. I can get cortisone shots which decrease the pain and inflammation, but those are some things that aren't super great to deal with. And the reason why I decided not to compete this year, kind of turned down a few opportunities to be on some teams, didn't pursue opportunities to be on teams, was because I didn't want to let a team down if a snatch came up and I'm out of practice. That's not the type of athlete I am. The type of athlete I am, if I'm going to commit to a team that's got to travel around the world to go to these sanctionals, and I have to deliver to the best of my ability. So the last thing you want to be is the person that holds a team back, and that's not who I am. And so it'd be selfish for me to do something otherwise. So those are factors that go into it. But regardless, whether I'm on the field or maybe behind the desk doing something like this, being a part of the testing, the games, whatever the opportunities might rise. I mean, obviously I have to be, in that situation to be offered that. But again, I'm going to be there no matter what, in some way, shape, or form. And that's something that I'm committing to now. No matter where the games are at, the rumors are the rumors. My opinions don't really matter too much. I can give you my thoughts and processes on that on another episode. But I think the games will happen in some way, shape, or form next year. And then myself and my buddies have some big plans for the next game season, and we're going to be involved with it. The hand plans programming for two sanctionals, and we're going to be on an advisory board to help for other ones. So we're going to be super involved with that. So make sure you hit us up with questions on that stuff. But I think that's, for me currently, that's kind of what I'm chomping on. It's an emotional piece that I wasn't there, but I'm super proud of my buddy Rich and Mayhem. They did the damn thing. It was fun to watch them do it. I think the fittest people won at the CrossFit Games. The rest of the drama we'll save for another episode. But that's sort of the big thing is perspective. For me, it was perspective of not being there for the first time ever. I started CrossFit in 2009, went to the CrossFit Games in 2010. Since then, I'd never have not been at the CrossFit Games, either on the floor, competing, or on the demo team. And that's weird to say I wasn't there this year. I really don't like it. But I don't really have a choice but to change the future based off what I just experienced. And I think that's something that I wish I was there, but I'm glad I was doing something else, because it gave me an opportunity to reflect and to see how I really feel. It's easy to take things for granted when you're in it. So when you pull out of it, I think that's something that's super important, super powerful. So that's where I'm at with that. So this is the intro. I'll probably record another episode this weekend to kind of get a better flow, work on a few things. But let me know what you think. Let me know topics you want to talk about. I'm super passionate about all sorts of stuff, things that are I'd love to talk about the athlete-agent relationship. I've been dealing in that world a little bit, so I have some thoughts on that. Obviously, programming, coaching, running a business. I have a lot of stuff for that. I think I'm going to do some business episode stuff, just because I think a lot of people could benefit from that, and I'm always into that, and I have multiple businesses. Just as a summary of what I do, I run Reebok CrossFit One, which is the CrossFit affiliate at the world headquarters. I also run and manage the entire gym for the Reebok world headquarters. So that we have a 30,000 square foot gym where we have a CrossFit facility and a full traditional gym. I run and manage that facility with 8 full-time staff and about 20 part-time instructors. So I'm in charge of the corporate wellness for the Reebok global headquarters here in Boston. That's really what I do day to day. Mainly, I spend a lot of time there throughout the week. I also own 3 CrossFit affiliates in the area with fellow business partner James Hobart and my business partner JC Del Rio. One Nation in Boston, One Nation Needham, One Nation Waltham. Also owner and founder of the Hand Plan programming, which we program for affiliates, individuals, masters, and we do some minimal equipment training in the Power Hour. Right. Also part owner of the 2 specialty courses, actually, CrossFit Preferred courses. One, the Coach Development Program, which I co-founded with Denise Thomas, and now myself, Denise Thomas, and James Hobart own. That is a in-setting development program that happens throughout the week for coaches in a CrossFit gym. And then also co-owner with Eric O'Connor, the Advanced Coaching Concepts course, which is a CrossFit Preferred specialty course, 2-day course, formerly known as the Competitors course, and now we have renamed it, tweaked the material for Advanced Coaching Concepts, which is for giving coaches an opportunity to refine their teaching for advanced athletes. So just like the name says, we teach you how to coach advanced concepts to your athletes. I also am a founder of the first Watt on the Waves with Connor Murphy. We, along with the Watt on the Waves team, sort of helped deliver that first experience. And so myself and Connor are part of the bigger Watt on the Waves team. So we did Watt on the Waves in 2019. We have Watt on the Waves in 2020. Which is what I just chatted about earlier. So I'm also a part of that. And Connor and I are sort of a duo where we attack all different types of things, and really in charge of everything onboard experience to athletes to all sorts of stuff. And we work with an unbelievable team behind the scenes to make sure everything is executed. It's a really fun event, and that's some fun challenges. And beyond that, also a few other things down the pipeline, but coming down, obviously I train and compete, but less so this past year. But maybe some new exciting things I'll be able to announce shortly. So no shortage of work that I do, but I love what I do, and it all circles around, coaching, CrossFit, owning gyms, running businesses, getting people better, and delivering products for people, hopefully, that they want. So, like I said, I keep this under 20 minutes. We're at 60 minutes. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. Hopefully you found some value and enjoyment to this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Shoot me an email. If you want to hit me up, you can email me at contact.austinmalleolo@gmail.com. That goes right to my inbox, and it's filtered appropriately, so I'll make sure I'll get that. You can hit me up on Instagram, amalleolo, and then you can also hit me up on Facebook or Twitter. All right, so YouTube as well. We'll see you out there. Let me know. This is The Soapbox with Austin Malleolo.